I would like to see some cops with an accordion. That would be nice.
Absolutely. It was my father. And so they went and they would work with these skinwalkers to basically go and spy on them. And so skinwalkers would go and like dress as a fox and like go like watch like a conquistador like taking a dump and be like, this is when you get him. You get him when he's shitting. It's like, thank you so much, Magic Fox. And so that was happening. They worked like together for a while, but then eventually these skinwalkers started getting apprehended and would be put into like jails and various forts, and they became addicted to white flour, beer, all the stuff that the white people like fucking mastered real early. They got really into like ownership, which is a thing that they didn't really understand, and so the skinwalkers started to turn and become evil.
Yeah. They are one of several varieties of Navajo witch. As opposed, they are known as a practitioner of the witchery way, as they call it.
Oh, I like the witchery way.
I like the witchery way, too, as opposed to a user of curse objects or a practitioner of the frenzy way.
Which is how I view my comedy style.
Yeah.
And also how I walked on the street, where I'm like, because that's how you don't get mugged.
Yeah. Sounds like Charles Manson taking a dump. So just going back for a flour.
Flour,
It was flour that did it?
Yeah, flour. Yeah, you make delicious bread.
Ah.
Yeah, they've been eating dirt. They're coming out there and they're like, they go there and they're like, you know, you can eat dirt. And they're like, I don't like it running flour. I don't like the dirt. And he's like, eat the dirt. It is natural for our people. They're like, this guy made a thing called a donut. I met this white guy and he made this thing called a donut and it had like stuffing in it. And it was real good running flour.
Yeah, that is the downfall of all societies. Yeah, once the donut is introduced, it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. So skinwalkers are mostly men. They're rarely women, and they use their powers to travel in animal form. And in some versions, the men or the women who have attained the highest level of priesthood are called
Klitz-Yahtzee?
Klitz-Yahtzee.
Klitz-Yahtzee?
Klitz-Yahtzee just sounds like a great new porno.
Yeah, Klitz-Yahtzee.
Yahtzee!
Yeah, I'm having one.
No.
Klitz-Yahtzee, which means pure evil, when they commit the act of killing a close blood relative, a sister, brother, mother, father, they commit incest, or they commit necrophilia. This act is said to destroy their humanity and allow them to fully immerse themselves in the teachings of the witchery way.
I'm going to say necrophilia is the least offensive out of all those three.
Absolutely.
Technically. Because if you're dead, hey man, if I'm dead, go ahead and play with my balls.
Yeah,
oh,
Enjoy
everyone's
yourself.
going to. Yeah.
Come on now. But way Chief Dan put it too is that he was like, they have a meeting once a week, once a month. It's not really a meeting as much as it's a gathering, meeting. They meet. They stand together. And I was like, get to the point! Get to the goddamn... But what he basically said was that they stand in front of pelts, that they'll stand in a circle and they'll stand in front of the pelt, and then kind of like the tree rape in Evil Dead 2, is that if once they kill their sister, brother, or something, the pelt like runs up their body and makes them an animal.
I see.
Yeah, they have a... It's pretty much the equivalent of a black mass.
Right.
Yes.
If you're getting into like the religious implications of it. But men are far more numerous. It is generally thought that only childless women can become witches. And not every witch is a skinwalker, but every skinwalker is
a witch. Okay, good to know.
And by Navajo law, a known witch has forfeited its status as a human being and can be killed at will.
By law.
By Navajo law.
Wow.
Not by American law.
Well, I don't know why we didn't adopt that one.
Well, but as we know about, or as you know about reservations and such, the rules are much different out on the res.
One would argue there are no rules if you're a man.
Whatever happens in the res stays in the res. And you know what happens in the res? Drinking booze and eating corn.
Yeah, a lot of that. It's a real poopy morning.
So some Navajo believe that skinwalkers have the ability to steal the face of a person.
But they have to, you have to lock eyes with it, and you have to hang out with them for a long time.
I'm going to lock
It's kind of
eyes
like
with
how
every...
you start to look like your dog. after you've been with your having a dog for a while.
Yeah, you start to look like your dog or your wife or your husband. Yeah, everyone just sort of merges together at some point.
Yeah, they can use their power to read human thoughts, and they also possess the ability to make any human or animal noise that they choose. They may use the voice of a relative.
So they can go like, hey, or they could go.
Yeah, that's good. Are you sure you're not a skinwalker?
Kill him!
Kill him.
Yeah, they might
go up to a skinwalker, and all of a sudden he comes up to it's like a perfectly full Native American man. He comes up and he goes, here I make a fan. You reckon one time? Be like, wait a second. You're looking like a Burt Lancaster, but you sound like a Hong Kong Chinese.
Like
Skinwalker logic. Every single time.
Right.
And much like vampires, skinwalkers can't enter a home without invitation.
There was also another very boring witness testimony I learned from a girl named Eileen who may have been retarded. I'm not really sure, but she was a young Indian woman that was interviewed by this cryptozoologist named J.C. Johnson, who has a very popular documentary out about skinwalkers, but it's not available in any way, shape, or form. You have to email it, and he will send you a link because he says it's got too many Native American secrets in it. So sure, okay. But he did this series with this girl named Eileen and asked her, because she said that she witnessed like a skinwalker attack. And again, 45-minute long video, and it was her literally just going like, I sit in the living room, and I hear a knock. I knew then, skinwalker come, look outdoor, did not see man, go back to kitchen, I hear. I look out the door, I see man, I don't let him in. I was like, that's the mailman.
That is the mailman, yeah. Milkman here.
Well, concerning...
Then she heard running up and down her ceiling. That basically he disappeared, and then he showed up on top of the ceiling, and then he popped back in front of the door, and it was a wolf dude, and he was sitting there with glowing red eyes, but he wouldn't, he could only come in if he let her in.
Yeah. And concerning his whole, I guess, belief that it exposes Native American secrets is that the Navajo are extremely tight-lipped about the whole skinwalker thing.
Oh,
they do not like to talk about it.
They hate to talk about it. They think it belongs to them, but they also believe that if you talk about a skinwalker, if you identify a person as a skinwalker, most likely the skinwalker will fucking murder you on the spot.
Right. Yeah. And that's not going to help you get a job.
No.
You know, just talking about skinwalkers all everywhere you go. That's not going to help you advance your standard of living there.
Yeah, they do all kinds of creepy shit. They use a powder called corpse dust.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's also known as corpse poison, corpse powder, to poison their victims. It's composed of ground infant bones, preferably twin infants, and bones from the fingertips and the back of the skull.
So I believe that that is the drug known as, what it's called. It's zombie powder.
Yeah, it starts with a Y. I know, like
right. Well, it slows down your heart rate and your whole respiratory system to the point where it seems like you're dead, right?
Yeah, well, that's what they say. They say after the victim breathes the dust, the tongue starts to swell and blacken, they go into convulsions, and they die. It can either be blown into their faces or down the chimney of their home.
Apparently, none of the people who fell victim to that watched WWF wrestling in the 80s when Papa Shango attempted to use that same trick against Macho Man Randy Savage. They didn't realize they just have to hulk up a little bit. They just got to go wild.
Scopolamine.
Yeah. Just got to shake the ropes.
And according to the Skinwalker legend, they're very seldom caught. And those who do track the Skinwalker and learn their true identity must pronounce the name of the Skinwalker in full. And once this happens, the Skinwalker will get sick and die for the wrongs that they've inflicted upon others, which this is a huge thing in folklore, monsters, all kinds of shit. It all comes down to the name.
Well, this Chief Dan would be easy as hell. Dan.
You look back even to just like the Torah and all this stuff. Names are really powerful. Mm-hmm. It's the way to gain agency over something. You'll see that in magic all the time. And then it just got to be kind of anticlimactic when you're like, Herbert Winkelstein.
Yeah.
Yes, that's me.
Power is now mine.
Well,
I'll never be a skinwalker again.
Very sad.
How will Debbie ever? Debbie only loves me in bear form.
He was a beautiful bear. He was a great big bear man. Do you get away with it then? If he's a skinwalker, can you go to the judge and just be like, you don't understand, he's half an owl?
Well, we'll get to that here in a bit.
Right.
There's going to be a story in which that exact argument is made.
Yikes.
But let's go back to 1878. Yes, we're going to the Navajo witch purge of 1878, in which more than 40 Navajo witches were killed or quote-unquote purged by tribe members because the Navajo had endured a terrible forced march at the hands of the U.S. Army, in which hundreds were starved, murdered, or left to die, much like the Trail of Tears, but not quite as bad. And at the end of the march, of course, the Navajo were put on a terrible fucking reservation in the middle of New Mexico and Arizona, I think, is where the Navajo reservation lies. And they thought that, of course, since all this horrible shit was happening to them, witches. It has to be witches. So they went.
Witches got the blame for this one.
Yeah,
huh?
witches got the blame for all of it.
Like witches were the one who like invented the blowjob. You know what I mean? Like they invented that stuff. They were the freaky fun ones, and they always had to always got to kill them. Witches are the best women I know.
Always, always. And the reason why they thought that the witches within, they had a quote-unquote proof in this that witches within their own tribe had caused all this bad shit to happen. They found a collection of witch artifacts wrapped in a copy of the Treaty of 1868 and buried in the belly of a dead person.
That was just a very fat man who accidentally ate it.
The fat man who lost some shit in his folds. Happens all the time.
Yeah.
Believe me.
Yeah.
I found an Interstellar ticket under my tit the other day.
Oh, how was
No reason for that.
Yeah.
Oh, Interstellar. Great movie.
Yeah, good movie.
I loved it.
Yeah, I loved it. So let's jump ahead to 1983, and this is an encounter from the white man.
Ooh. Thankfully, somebody I can trust.
Finally, a credible resource. Yeah. So one night while driving at night along Route 163 through the Navajo reservation.
We got in the old VW, and we had a good old time. We walked down to Engine Land because we like their ice cream.
So we drove 600 miles across their reservation to get some ice cream. It's gigantic. So they're driving at night, 4 members in this truck. It slowed down around a sharp bend. Suddenly they felt just the atmosphere change around them. Time itself seemed to slow down, and then something leaped out of a roadside ditch at the vehicle. One of the witnesses said it was black and hairy and was eye level with the cab. Whatever this thing was, it wore a man's clothes. It had on a white and blue checked shirt and long pants. Its arms were raised over its head, almost touching the top of the cab. It looked like a hairy man or a hairy animal in man's clothing, but it didn't look like an ape or anything like that. Its eyes were yellow and its mouth was open.
But they also didn't know that someone had just finished up a shift at the local Greek restaurant.
Right. I would love to hear his side of the story. I was just walking home in the middle of the street.
I went to the road where